Graphic design? Can you make a living at that?
Three, two, one, fun, 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 fun,
Welcome to Design Futures, a show about what happens after design school. I'm Chris St. Cyr, and my guest on this episode is Taneisha Lugo. It's so good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It has been. Tanisha is a principal product designer at Peacock, an NBC Universal streaming service. There, she designs mini games and short form clips for the Peacock mobile app. And she's also worked on the upcoming interactive features for the NBA on all the Peacock platforms. Previously, she's worked as a designer at a variety of companies, including Instagram, BuzzFeed, HuffPost, and of course, our very own 2Communique. Her work has been recognized by Albany Ad Club, Adweek Magazine, and the Webby Awards. And finally, Tanisha is a 2014 graduate of the College of St. Rose. That's all you. I'm sure there's a lot more to you.
Yeah, for sure. But thank you for the intro.
You've been busy. The one thing, well, there's many things to talk about, but I so wanted to talk to you, mostly because of this one fact.
Okay.
We can go further back, but at St. Rose, you were in the senior class, which is my first year at St. Rose, but you did not take my interactive web design course, as we called it back then. And here you are. You're like, you have this career in product design and digital, all this stuff. So how badly do you regret not taking that class? No, I'm
Yeah,
just
I
kidding.
don't I
I'm
like
just
don't
kidding.
remember anything about college sometimes. I'm like, wow, did that even happen? But I do remember taking a Dreamweaver class at some point and I had a different professor and I
Yeah.
can't remember her name. So maybe that's why I didn't take your class. I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't elective at that time. This is back in 2000, fall of 2013. Um, and in that program, there wasn't a lot of interactive kind of digital work at that time. But were you interested in interactive in school, or did that come later as you kind of got out there and into the career?
Well, the first part, if it was an elective and it was 2014, I was actually part-time studying and finishing my senior year that year. And then
Uh,
the other half of the time, I was actually working with Kelly at 2Communique. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
balancing my time in that way. So maybe that's another reason why I didn't actually take the class. But for interactivity, I think that it was also new to me. I don't even know if I knew that I wanted to be a UX, UI designer or a UI designer. And a lot of times when I think back on it, I don't even know that I knew that it was a job, like, truly. So
Yeah.
I don't know that it was top of mind for me to take a class like that. But I did know in my senior year that I did want to work in digital. But at the time, I had no idea what that meant. I just knew that I wanted to work in digital.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've done like I mentioned, you've worked for quite a few different companies. What are the broad strokes as far as like where you've worked and kind of what your job has been? Like, did it start right off as working in digital, working UI, UX, or web, or how did what is the trajectory of where you are now at Peacock working on the streaming platform?
Yeah, so when I was graduating, like I just said, it was really important to me to work in digital, whatever that meant. So, the first few of my roles that I had, I was working at agencies, and I was brought on as a visual designer, or like junior visual designer at first, and then a visual designer. And at my first job, it was designing like social media campaigns and creating Instagram assets and like Pinterest assets and
Mhm.
things like that. And then it was also doing reskins of websites and the NBA app at the time too, which is like now full circle because here I am working on NBA features again. But so I think when I was exposed to definitely the NBA project at that first role that I had, that was the first time I was really introduced to UI design and what that meant within an application. And I knew from there that I wanted to do more of that work. It just felt right. And then I started moving into roles where I could do more of that work and work on the UI design and visual design of applications. And then from there, um, I always joke with the people on my team right now, but when I started out, even UI UX designer wasn't a combined role. It was two
Mhm.
separate roles. So
Yeah.
now it's evolved a ton. But I started working as a UI designer, partnering with UX designers. And I was really interested in UX because it's really defining that whole experience and thinking through the user flows and journeys and problems and all of these different things. And each time I moved in my career, it was a way for me to get closer to being that type of designer who could do both. And eventually our titles changed to product designer. So here I
Right.
am as product designer now.
So your title is has product designer in it. And so what does that mean for you at Peacock?
So my role in the last 7 months has definitely been more taking the lead on not just one initiative, but many, and supporting my designers who are on the team with me alongside my director. And yeah, just making sure that everyone's able to do their best work and to help guide them to own their features that they're working on. And at the same time, partner with my cross-functional team to make sure that our features are going in the right direction and we're able to do everything from ideation all the way through launch and
Mhm.
seeing the results of that and then iterate on it past that.
And so are you at your level, are you like designing visual things? Or are you mostly in there with like user flows and spreadsheets and other things? Or like what do you make something? I guess is the
Yeah, I
question.
definitely make a lot of things. So
Okay.
our team is pretty small, and I think that working at Peacock has been a lot of fun because it is a small team, and therefore I
Uh-huh.
get to work on a lot of different things that have nothing to do with one another, but at the same time are connected in some way. So um, because of that, I'm able to go through and make those user flows and annotate things, and then also work on the visual side of
Mhm.
things and work on prototyping and micro interactions. But now I have a great team who is super great at everything. So, for example, if I need help prototyping and I'm not like the prototyping wizard, I know who to tap in order to help me get something to that place. And that's been really nice to be able to also do that kind of work too, because I'm not taking everything on my own plate. I'm really learning to delegate my work to people who can also grow.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the purposes of this podcast is try to like inform young designers and particularly students. Uh, and part of that education is terminology. So you use the term cross-functional. So like
Oh,
that's typically not something that like a term that you would experience in design school. Although I once in a while I will reference it and but not as like a project. But can you explain what cross-functional means in terms of like your role as a designer and just what does that mean for like how you work?
yeah, absolutely. So, a cross-functional team is typically made up of a design point of contact or a lead designer, a engineering lead, and then a product lead. And if you think about it, it's like the stool analogy. The stool can't stand without all three legs
Mhm.
being attached to the top of it. And the three of us, or at whatever company, those three roles will really define and bring their expertise to whatever project they're working on. And there's always push and pull with any cross-functional team, but at the same time, you get really good work done that way because you're flagging things that you can or cannot do early on. You're getting feedback constantly. You're able to iterate on things really quickly, and it's a really great way to work in that way.
So you talked about like intern, right? So you're a staff or an internal designer, and as you said, like early in your career, you worked for agencies, right? So you have clients, right? So outside clients come to an agency and like, here's what we're trying to do. Help me communicate this message or design this app or whatever. So who, like in an internal setting where you are now, who are considered the clients? Like who comes to you with a project?
Yeah, at Peacock, a lot of our initiatives are driven by content because that's what we are. We are a place that people can consume really great content. Examples are the NBA, the Olympics, And then we have original series and so on. So a lot of times these initiatives come from the top down because they are signing new contracts for new content. And then in some cases, there are areas where, again, if you're working in a squad or a pod, you're able to identify what areas of opportunities you may see for your own feature in your project because you have launched something, now you're seeing results from that thing, and you're already thinking about, well, how can we make this better?
Yeah. Like you just mentioned two really big projects. I mean, like the NBA is huge. Um, and that's like yeah, I'm sure it's its own complex like set of, content and features and things that you have to do. But then again, it's every year, and your contract might not be every year, but it's a continuing thing. But like the Olympics seems like that times 100 because like the pressure and the time, the timing of something like the Olympics, it's huge and it's only for a certain moment of time for a few weeks. And it's like, have you like, are those, you've worked on the NBA stuff, right? Did you work on the Olympics or
I didn't get the chance
no?
to work on the previous Olympics experience for Paris, but I am going to be working on the Olympics experience for LA. And it's a huge thing for the company. And especially for LA, it's like, okay, we did this really great thing. We won an Emmy for, well, I didn't, but my team, they won an
Yeah.
Emmy for the Paris Olympics experience on Peacock. And that's huge. So
Yeah.
now it's like, well, how can you make that even better? And yeah, it's a lot of pressure. And I think it's nice to have 4 years in between the, Summer Olympics, or really two in between each of the Olympics. But because you get a lot of time to think about it. Maybe not a lot of time, that's like aggressive, but you get time to think about how you can make those experiences better. And I think the interesting part of it being every 4 years is, or just each Olympics, but um, I don't know how much the technology is going to change in that amount
Right.
of time, and how much is the technology going to allow us to do new things that we didn't even know that we could do now when we're brainstorming about it, right? So I think it's interesting and fun because there's so many opportunities, and things might change so quickly that who knows what we'll be doing the next time around.
So do you focus on sports at Peacock or is that
Mm,
no?
no, but we back to the content comment that I made before. We have a lot of sports coming
Right.
to platforms, so a lot of our focus for our team has been on sports.
Mhm.
So I don't focus just on sports experiences, but I definitely have been working on a lot of sports experiences.
Yeah, yeah. Um, do you have any favorite projects that you've whether it's at Peacock or in the past, like, are there some that stand out for you?
I think that a lot of the projects that I've been working on for the NBA have been really interesting and just stand out because they are experiences that live on TV and the mobile devices, or sorry, apps. But I think that they're very interactive, and it's been really interesting and fun and challenging to design experiences for TVs that people can have a lean-in experience. So that's what we call it when
Mhm.
somebody's actually engaging with their remote to do something with the UI within a streaming app. And I think that they're really rewarding because there's not always something to reference. And because there's not always something to reference, you do feel like, wow, this is really innovative, right? And this is probably in most people's living rooms. And am I bringing joy to their homes because of
Mhm.
this thing that I'm working on? So I feel like a lot of the TV experiences for NBA have been awesome to work on lately. And I think that me personally, one of my goals was to work at Instagram. So, of course, redesigning the navigation for Instagram.com was like a highlight that will always be there.
So is the NBA experience it's interactive like on the TV app?
Yeah, we have two experiences coming. One is very lean in, where you do need to use your remote for input into what's happening and select some things and play a game essentially. And then the
Right.
other one is you have to turn it on or toggle it on, and it's a lot of on, it almost is like broadcast graphics on top
Oh
of
yeah.
the, yeah. So, but our goal is to really make it so that the casual fan can comprehend what's happening in the game with data and visual elements in a way
Yeah.
that, yeah, they understand everything that's happening and they feel like they can be a part of it even if they don't have all of their, NBA knowledge.
So one, I want to go back to St. Rose or kind of like that moment in time because you used the phrase I knew I wanted to work or I needed to work in digital. I'm not sure what you said, but it was very like you the way that you talk about it, it's like it was important. Like why was it important for you as, you know, somebody coming right out of school to like have that mindset of like it needs to be digital? Like
Yeah.
can you answer that why? Why is that?
Yeah, for sure. I think that at the time there was a lot of shift, and when we were in school, a lot of people were talking of like, oh, print is dead and everything's moving digital and everything's going to be online. And frankly, I wanted a job. Like I wanted to make sure that I could get employed and make good money and have a great career. And I think it was at looking back, I can say I was trying to keep up with technology, and I see
Right.
that happening right now. It's the same thing with AI, right? And you might not know what it's going to be, but I know that it will change and shift my role. I don't know how yet, but I know it's going to happen. And if I were coming out of school now, I probably would be making a similar decision where I would be
Right.
saying like, can I work on a design team that's working with AI just to be exposed to it, even though I have no idea what it is?
Yeah.
But that's really where that came from.
Yeah. That's a good answer. It's a practical answer too, and want a job. So to be aware of that 10 years ago to say like, yeah, I want to work in digital. You can always go back to like always do something in print on the side or, as part of your job. But yeah, you got to have digital. And even today, I still tell students like if they don't have digital, something that moves, or some kind of prototype
Yeah.
for a few things in their portfolio, um, they're really going to be behind. So what was you went to St. Rose? Let's back up to that. Like, are you from upstate New York?
I would call it downstate
Downside?
personally, but
Yeah.
I'm from Orange County, New York, so
Okay.
it's right above Rockland County. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, okay, so you're closer to the city, right,
Yeah.
than Albany? Why come all the way to
Yeah, yeah,
Albany?
yeah.
Why come all the way to Albany to go to this little like liberal arts college with a strong art and design program when you had all those other options there in the city of art and design schools and other schools that had art and design programs? Like, how did you end up at St. Rose?
Yeah, so my little sister is actually going into like searching for colleges now. She's just not going in for art and design, but I've been talking to her about this and like how I made the decision to go to Albany and well, St. Rose in Albany. And I did apply to Pratt and SVA, and I did look at those schools, and I got in. But I think at the time I just wasn't ready to move to the city.
Mhm.
And looking back, it was definitely the right choice for me. I think that when I was visiting them, it was just I didn't want to be here, not yet. It was too overwhelming. And then one of my friends, she was going to study education and she was going on a tour of St. Rose. And I was like, I'll go with you. So we ended up going to St. Rose and I loved the campus. And then I found out about the program and I ended up actually going to school for fine arts. I didn't start as a graphic
Mhm.
design major, which is why I had that fifth year part-time.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you got a tour of Peacock and saw the artwork and yeah.
Yeah.
So you ended up at St. Rose. What was the St. Rose experience like for you? As I've heard, you didn't have much time to have fun, but that's not true. But what was the experience like at St. Rose and living in
Yeah.
Albany and going to school there?
It was a lot of fun. I don't think I was, I had a lot of work on my plate, but I definitely had a lot of fun too. And for the first 2 years that I was a student, I was in the fine arts program. So I was taking all of the, drawing, painting, sculpture, etching. I took all of those classes, and
Yeah.
it was amazing to be able to be exposed to all of them and really get a feel for what I like to do and what I didn't like to do.
Mhm.
And I always say that I didn't love any of the concentrations, and that's why I switched majors to graphic design because I was like, I don't know, none of this is really feeling right. And I ended up switching. But I love living in Albany. I thought it was the perfect place for somebody to, I don't know, start to get their independence without
Mhm.
being in a massive city. And,
Right.
where we lived, it was all students. So that was also nice. And you have community. And I think one of the things I loved about St. Rose, and I think I took it for granted at the time, but now going to college campuses, I'm understanding that it was so important to me that St. Rose was actually in the middle of Albany. It's not off, outside of the city. It's really
Mhm.
ingrained into the middle of the city and where we all lived, and that was amazing. So yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah. Did you do any clubs or activities, play a sport? What did you do outside of
No,
class?
I didn't play any sports. I was a dancer in high school, and then
Mm.
when I got to college, I stopped doing that. I always worked out a lot, so I continued to do that. And then I always had jobs as well. So I worked at
Right.
the gallery on campus. I worked at the
Uh,
IT bar on campus. I was a waitress at Bombers, or not a waitress, but a burrito roller actually at Bombers. I was a waitress at Friendly's. So I don't think I had a ton of time to do to do any of the other clubs because I was working
yeah.
or partying or going to class. And I think my favorite place, I don't know if they're still open. I hope they are, but the Daily Grind, I
Oh yeah.
loved that place. That was my favorite place ever.
Oh yeah, that's still around. It's still open.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Lark Street it keeps turning over, there's some places
Yeah.
still there from probably your days. Now that's even your trajectory is even wider than I originally knew. Like, okay, so you started like fine art, like, in the printing lab and painting studios and all that. And now you've made it all the way to like be digital like product design. So with all of that and St. Rose, so one of the questions I ask a lot of former students is, if you can remember back, but what do you think what do you think should change in like design education, to better prepare students for, what's out there right now?
Yeah, I think that one of the things I think that students should be learning is really how to collaborate with one another on projects because it's really not until you reach your, mid to senior level that you're actually able to define a whole project on your own. Up until that point, you do have to work with a lot of other people to make something, and it's
Mhm.
not just your work. And I think in our classes, it was really our project. We rarely did a project with somebody else. And I think that once I got to the agency world, especially when I got to the agency world as a junior designer, you're working with like 5 or 6 other junior designers on a project, and you do have to learn how to collaborate with one another. And kind of, for me at least, it was about letting go of the ego because I went from being great student in all of these classes and presenting my work and giving really great critiques. And I loved that part of it. And then when I got to my first job, I was like, wait, what do you mean I can't just do the whole project? And so I think just working in collaboration with other people and also yeah, I don't know if there's any sort of feature briefs, but even mock feature briefs would be great where like you are the client and the students are working on a feature for something. I think that's one of the things that I wish I learned in school.
Mhm. So there's a little bit of St. Rose there, right? Your time in Albany. What was life like even before that? If we go back further, so you mentioned you were a dancer in high school. Like, were you, so dancing, that's creative. Did you play music? Were you always into like art, like as a kid in middle school, high school? What was the earlier days as a child like as far as like creativity?
Yeah, this is way back. So when I was little, I always said I wanted to be an artist, and I was like, I'm gonna be an artist. And I remember talking about that all the time, and drawing and painting and making stuff, whatever it was a dancer in high school. And I was also a really good student. So by the time I got to high school, I was really interested in biology, and I actually wanted to do maybe pre-med, and I did a program in Washington, D.C. at Georgetown University. It was like a 2-week program to expose high schoolers to pre-med and what it would be like. And I took the program and I was like, it's not it. This is not for me. So I'm happy that I am one of those people that I really trust my feelings. And if it feels not right, then I'm like, okay, I know to move on to the next thing. But that's when I made the decision to study art and go to school for art. My plan was to be an art professor, and that's what I wanted to do.
You can still
Um,
do it.
I could still do it. Yeah, I could. And then also the other factor, again, I am very practical. My family owns a small business. It's a bakery business. And uh, my dad was honestly one of my drivers to be motivated to make sure that I had a good career because he would always tell me, okay, if you don't have a career, if you don't go to college and you don't make your own money, you're gonna end up here at the bakery with me. And I was like, okay, that's all I needed to know.
That's
Like,
all.
yeah, so I think again, like I think it helped me make these practical decisions to like make sure to
Yeah,
go to a good school, a credible school, and at a certain point, if I didn't love any of the concentrations, to make that switch to graphic design because
yeah,
again, I wanted to make sure I had a good career and then eventually when I graduated to work in digital.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Kelly reminded me that your family owned a bakery. Is the bakery
Yeah.
still around?
Oh
You
yeah,
still
yeah.
have it?
My
Yeah.
dad has a bakery. He opened more of like a donut shop, and it's called
Oh,
Daddy's Bakery. It's in Middletown, New York, if anyone's listening. But yeah, so they're working over there. My brother started working with him, so that's really cool. And then my aunt, uncle, and cousins, they have another bakery, which is the original, and that's called
oh,
De
okay.
Filippi's Bakery. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. She reminded me that you would bring in a box of pastries or baked goods every once in a while into the
Yeah.
studio. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Um, yeah. Have you? When was the last time you were there? When was the last time you ate a donut?
Oh, I go upstate a lot because I'm so close. So I think we were there maybe 2 weekends ago, and we're going up on Saturday again. So yeah.
Yeah, you gotta go see the family. Have
Uh-huh.
some. Do they have coffee at this bakery?
Yeah, yeah, of
Can
course.
I
There's
get an
always coffee.
espresso?
They
Uh,
don't have espresso machines. It's not like a full barista. At least at my dad's bakery, no. I think my aunt might.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing I think is I'm on a lifelong search for like the perfect place that has like great pastry and great coffee. It's usually one or
Yeah.
the other, I found. It's like,
I
yeah,
think
the
so.
pastry was okay, but the coffee was really good, or it's the opposite. It's like that coffee was so weak, but the pastry was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Every time we go to Europe too, they don't really make drip coffee or filtered coffee. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
maybe you can find a good filter coffee, but again, the pastries will not be good. So sometimes I'm always let down every time I get an amazing pastry somewhere and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we can make you an Americano. And I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I want really good filtered coffee.
Where have you gone in Europe? Do you go regularly or is that your
Oh, well, now a little bit more regularly because our engineering teams are actually based in Lisbon, London, and Prague. So I've been to
Oh.
London and Lisbon over the past couple of years a few times to work with them, which is, I will definitely say, a great work.
Wow, that's so cool. So do you go and like just stay for like a week or do you go live like kind of live there for longer periods or what was that like?
No, it's more of a week at a
Uh,
time. So it'll be a week, and it's usually workshops with the working teams. We usually come
mm,
together to make sure, like it happened, for example, for NBA, and when we were kicking off the projects, um, we're able to work in that cross-functional relationship that I was talking about earlier. But it's different when everyone's in person, and you get a lot of decisions made at the huge tables and these conversations that are happening in the meeting room. So we usually do that to like kickstart anything
Hmm.
that we're working on, and it's really beneficial. So yeah, it's usually a week at a time, and then sometimes my husband will fly over to Europe too, and then we'll make it a trip where we take the following week off and then just
Yeah.
stay there.
Yeah, you have to,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're already
Yeah.
making it over there.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Yeah, that's
Right.
definitely a good work benefit, if you get to travel somewhere you've never been. So that's there's a lot of work stuff in there. What are you doing? I mean, you live in New York City or Brooklyn or whatever. Like it's like one of the greatest cities in the world. So what
Yeah.
are you doing when you're not working? What are you doing
Yeah,
for
I mean,
fun? I mean, you say you work out, so like you go to the
yeah.
gym or maybe you do something at home, but like what else? How are you relaxing and taking breaks
Yeah,
and
I think when I first moved to the city, I was definitely out all the time, exploring everywhere. I also was part of a really big run club, but 10 years ago when it was like not a big deal. Now they're everywhere. And it really helped me see the whole city. I literally
yeah.
ran across the entire city, and that was so special. And then now I'm kind of in a different season of life. Like my husband and I, we both, we work in the same role. He's also a principal product designer, but he works at
uh,
Yahoo. And we have a dog, and our life is a little bit slower now, so we're not
Yeah.
really going out as much. But I think we just really enjoy our neighborhood,
Yeah.
enjoy Williamsburg is where we live, but enjoying Greenpoint. And because we have our dog, we try to walk as far as possible with
Mhm.
him. So usually that's how we're spending most of the time. It's just outside walking. And I think that's my favorite part of living here is you could just walk anywhere and you
Yeah.
find something different. And then our offices are in Rockefeller Center, so that's also really
Okay. Right.
nice. I work in 30 Rock, so that's really cool. And
Iconic. Yeah.
yeah, and I have a lot of really good friends from the office, and we'll do things around Midtown. So yeah, we do typical city things, I
Fun.
guess.
So do you
Yeah.
go when you're out on your walks, do you check out some new bakery and compare it to the families?
Always, all the time,
Do a
all
little
the
research. You
time.
call it research. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah,
try it. It's research.
I'll take photos and I'll send it to my dad, or I'll like tell him how much the Italian bakeries here are selling things. Like
Mm.
the other, maybe a week ago or 2 weekends ago, we went into an Italian bakery that's been here forever, and they were selling tricolor cookies for like $54 a pound. And I was like, what? This is crazy. Like, I know rent is expensive, but you've also been here forever.
So our youngest son is quite the baker and actually just made those tricolor Italian cookies just a couple weeks ago.
Oh
And
my gosh.
he's a 17-year-old like master pastry chef. He's like
Wow.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah. So walking the dog, what kind of dog do you have?
He's a mutt,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I think is the best kind of dog. We rescued
Yeah.
him 6 years ago, which is
Oh,
crazy. Yeah, he's 7, so we rescued him 6 years ago. His name is Pancho.
Poncho. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Go for walks with the dog. That sounds relaxing. Do you bake? You come from bakers. Do you bake?
I
Or
know.
no? No, you don't
Everyone
bake?
asks me this, and no,
No.
I don't.
Cook? Are you
Yeah,
more on
yeah,
the
of
cooking
course.
side? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
of
okay.
course, cooking, and most recently learning Spanish. So my husband's Colombian, and
Uh-huh.
I really want to learn Spanish. We've been together for a while, and I just haven't done it. I haven't
Yeah.
committed the time, and now I'm working with or studying rather, with a tutor.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, okay, I'm actually learning something.
Well, you need to get like a transfer for a year to NBC, office that's in a Spanish speaking country. That you just
I
the
know.
whole immersion thing, right? You'll pick
Yeah,
it
yeah,
up, right?
exactly, exactly.
All right. Um, okay. Are you ready for the pop quiz? Did,
Okay,
did you
I'm a
study?
bit nervous.
They're all you can't miss.
Okay.
Favorite thing about New York City?
I love the walkability. I love the walkability. I love the city. Yeah, I just like that you can be anywhere and you can go to a different neighborhood and it can feel like a whole different city. And I think it's so beautiful.
Right. Favorite thing about Albany?
Albany, I loved that I had a community there, and that's really
Mm,
what it just felt like a community, and that I was safe and comfortable and could be myself, and I really found me.
that's awesome. Work beverage. What's your go-to work beverage?
Yeah, I have strict rules around caffeine now because I'm a little bit older, so I can't have all the caffeine I used to have. But in the morning, I drink black coffee and I bring it in my little thermos, and then after that, I'm just drinking water all day.
Yeah, yeah. All right. You say you still make some things. So sketchbook, blank or gridded?
Oh, I think for me, it's definitely blank. Yeah.
Yeah, well, freeform. Type or image?
Image.
Image. Favorite Peacock original series?
Oh, okay, so I really like Poker Face, and that's like a
Oh,
good original series, but I've also been watching, and this is so embarrassing. It's called Yes Chef, and it's with Martha Stewart and Jose Andres, and they're like, yeah, it's a cooking challenge show, and I don't even like cooking shows.
I have to watch Poker Faces on my list.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's good. Um, do you listen to music while you're working during the day?
I
What
do,
genre?
and I don't even know the genre. I just type in like focus, work, house, and like something comes up on Spotify.
Whatever the algorithm says.
Yeah.
All right. Siri, Alexa, or Google?
Oh, I am the biggest Google fangirl. Like, I used to have a Pixel up until maybe a year ago when I switched to iPhone, and the only reason why I did that is because I like making reels on Instagram, and unfortunately, they prioritize the iOS versions of everything and not the Android
Hmm.
version. So I was tired of my Android version of Instagram like falling behind.
All right. Favorite pastry?
Oh, my favorite pastry. So even though I grew up in a bakery with all of these different cookies and pastries and all of these things, I really, really like shortbread cookies. Like just a really good shortbread cookie. Just
I,
it's delicious. There's nothing that tops it for me.
I agree with that choice. I love the simplicity of just like a
Yeah.
really good shortbread. You gotta have a little good cup of coffee with it, but yeah, just a nice shortbread. Excellent
Mm-hmm.
answer. All right, final question in the pop quiz. If you weren't a designer, what would you be?
Huh, I think I would really like to be like working in hospitality somehow and maybe having like my own, not Airbnb, but kind of like a boutique hotel. I think it
Mm,
would be really fun and I like working with people. Yeah, and I think it would be really nice.
sounds good. All right. Your final thoughts for aspiring designers, design students. What advice would you give?
Yeah, so I would say one, always make sure you're being curious, like especially on interviews. I think that asking really good questions that show that you've done your research or show that you are willing to learn or show that you don't know everything, rather like you're self-aware. I think it goes such a long way. So I would say making sure to stay curious and ask really good questions. And I would also say that, I really believe that most of the design job is actually communication. So making sure that you're able to clearly communicate not only what you did, but why you did it and tell that story. And I think those things together really make standout designers.
Excellent advice. See, I think you could be an art or design teacher someday.
Yeah.
That's the next chapter for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Keep up the amazing work, and hopefully we can get together sometime in the city, hang out at
Yeah,
Rockefeller
yeah, that would be
Center,
awesome.
or go for a walk in Brooklyn. You know,
Yeah, thank you so much.
it was good to talk to you. Thanks.
Thank you.
I know you've been crying, dog. I know you've been crying,
So,
dog.
what do we learn from Tanisha? Well, let go of your ego and collaborate, and go for a walk. It's a good way to see your community. Thanks to Tanisha Lugo of Peacock. If you have any comments or questions for me or any of my guests, please leave them in the comments and subscribe so you can catch the next episode of Design Futures. Until next time, go learn something. Your future depends on it. Thanks for listening. See ya.